Okie dokie, let's review this. So this right here is all just false advertisement. Like that right there is good, but then you look at the back. See, that's the funny part. You look at the background right there, and then you look at the face, and then you look at that, you know? And then that's what you actually get with this project. Now, what's kind of funny is like looking at the finalized product, because now we've gotten the finalized gameplay, right? Courteous of IGN. Now, don't worry, I've tortured myself for 15 minutes of, just looking at what I think's wrong with this game, what I think's good about this game, right? And it's kind of funny to do this finalized review, because now that we actually have the product. And it's crazy that we have the product, we have the full gameplay before the game comes out, because it comes out on the 25th, right? But here's where the comedy begins, right? So at the beginning of the game, right, they're showing you the cutscenes, right? But the cutscenes, that's the problem. The cutscenes should be good at this point. At this point, let's think about it. We've had Resident Evil 4 cutscenes, we've had Revelations cutscenes, we've had Revelations 2 cutscenes, we've had Resident Evil 0, which is the funny part where I mentioned the Resident Evil 0 cutscenes. Those are pretty good cutscenes, though, too, if you've ever watched those. But they decide they're going to use a cheap little engine, right? So then they're going to be like, oh, cool. Well, we got Heavy Rain, which I was like shocked. I was like, oh yeah, they're using the Heavy Rain engine. And then they're using Injustice. And I was like, Injustice has this cheap, cheesy animation that you can easily port. Basically, it makes sense because you're in the fighting game, because when the cutscene happens, you go straight into the fight, right? But then they try the same aspect in this game, and it doesn't work out. See, one of the cool things about Resident Evil 4, right, was when they did the cutscene and when they did the animation, it was, not only was it cool and intense and scary, right, with Leon and all that, it was, the problem was it wouldn't, like, just have a weird, dramatic, funny part where you're inside the game, right? And it's 2019, and that's the choice they chose for the cutscene. Even Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is probably like one of the main focuses we're going to get into, but Zelda Breath of the Wild, even their cutscenes were well done, and just, they didn't jump you like right in, making it all look cheesy and funny. I mean, that's the problem. You see, like, this isn't Zelda. This isn't a Legend of Zelda game. This is Resident Evil. It's a scary game. This isn't Heavy Rain. This isn't Fortnite. It's just like, it's kind of crazy to see that this is the final product. Because, I mean, this false picture would have you believe that this game's going to be cool. Because, like, her head's getting crushed by that. But that's just a reused, animation. Which is great, reused animations, hooray. No, not really. The atmosphere does not exist because these actors, man, I don't know what actors they got. They probably got all these Lifetime rejected actors, and that was the problem with the cutscenes. And it almost got to the part where I was laughing because if anybody remembers, we have a Resident Evil movie. Don't watch the other two, but like the first live-action movie was more scary than this. The zombies in here are cheesy and funny. The wasted facial expressions of eating a cheeseburger. It's almost like they're telling you, go to Hardee's, don't buy this game. I mean, it's $60, but like it was pretty funny. It was pretty laughable. I mean, I like Lifetime, but not in my Resident Evil games. But after like 17 years, which is probably like the main focus, 17 years. Resident Evil 0 just had better maps, better layouts, better cutscenes. And overall, like, Billy and Rebecca have more of a character connection with you than Leon and Claire and even Ada. And the biggest problem is that they're trying to push Claire in this but Claire, see, in the original game, they didn't push Claire. What made Claire mysterious and awesome was that you were discovering who Claire was. And even the girl cutscenes, it's kind of repetitive that they're trying to use, like, Resident Evil 4 stuff with you and the girl and Claire, which is basically just using, like, the whole Leon, repetitive. It's using the whole Leon S. Kennedy and Even Revelations 2 has the little girl part, if you've played Revelations 2. And you know what I'm talking about. But Revelations 2 is probably like a huge funny thing that we can even talk about. Was Revelations 2 is what, 90, $100? I'd say even more. It's probably more once you get all the episodes downloaded. But they've really made this game so bad that you actually are like, wow, Revelations 2 was pretty good. It was hard. It had good cutscenes. Which is a very controversial game that people don't like, because it was like a kind of pay game, and not many people are into pay games, as you can see. They want a finalized product, and this isn't even a finalized product. It's actually kind of funny, because when you look at the gameplay, the finalized gameplay, you look at that its engine is running just like a Zelda Ocarina of Time project, which is it's nice that they want to do Zelda Ocarina of Time and the Unreal Engine, but it's a project. It's not reimagining the game at all. It's just a little bit of a project, and that's what this is. This is a project. I just couldn't believe that even they have everything exact, like from the cutscenes, like, and we're gonna get into that. The first is that they have just the layout. The layout's the same. You can sneak up behind the zombie. But that's even worse, because in the third person, in the original Resident Evil 2 map layout, it was hard. Sneaking up on them, it had like a challenge. You had to conserve your bullets and all that. But in this one, you just run away from them. Even if you're like injured, that's what's so funny. This IGN reviewer, he's like, this game's hard. No, it's not hard. If you've played anything of Resident Evil 4, you would know that it's just easy. You just evade, evade, evade. Because now you got more room. And this game was just trying to aim like what Zelda Breath of the Wild was. But you see, the problem is Zelda Breath of the Wild had a stamina system where you could die. This has no stamina system where you die. You just can save your weapons. And then it kind of like defeats the purpose, because the huge purpose is you're trying to get to bosses like this, right? But you'll have all your weapons saved up. You have to get through so many repetitive puzzles, too. I don't get that. Repetitive doors. It would have been nice if they had different puzzles that was like Resident Evil 2, and then they reimagine it, you know, like make new puzzles, but that's too much creativity, and they obviously wanted to rush this game to sell you in January. And I guess like one of the biggest negatives I held on to was the fact that this game was having you buy DLC costumes, which is funny because the DLC costumes are the highlight of this game. That's one of the positives about this game, and that's not how a Resident Evil game is designed. Normally, it's just crazy. Resident Evil 4, 2, 1. What do they all have in common? Oh, that's right, free costumes, not costumes you have to buy. This game goes towards the Fortnite audience, which is hilarious too, because it's trying to cash cow it. But this game just sucks. The cutscenes suck. So much sucking. And then the big hype, which is the most important part, the liquor. The liquor is liquor's terrible. I literally felt like the liquor just took me. You know, he climbed up the wall and then he fucked me, because this game sucks. That's what he did. And when you look at the overall, like the textures in the background, you'll realize that like games like Zombie U had better textures, and that's what's so weird, because this game is just cheaply made. They are really laughing at people, and they kind of want people. They're punishing us because we had harsh reviews on Revelations 2, right? And since we had those harsh little criticizing, which was to make their game better, because we didn't want to purchase an undeveloped game, you know. But now they're making fun of us even harder. This game sucks, man. It's easy. The creativity is gone. And, it's kind of crazy to think that we're here in 2019, and I'm giving this game a 3.9 out of 10. IGN gave this an 8.8. Yeah, right. This game, and it's crazy because I mean, I should be happy. Like, I should be happy that they're even trying to make the third-person game still, but this one sucks. Half of the body too. which is another cutscene we'll mention because it's a infamous cutscene, because it's one of the most discussed ones. Is, oh cool, look at the zombie seeing its whole body. Kind of that was like a little gem in the Resident Evil series. It's all gummy worms. The graphics, the Injustice graphics, just ruin it. And then there's no intensity. I mean, it's pretty bad. I don't even know, like, Ada Wong would normally people would love playing as Ada Wong, but Ada Wong's cutscenes are cringy too, and has a repetitive boss type, which is him. So no unique new boss types, which is a problem. I mean, even like games like Doom's a remake, but it still has creative boss types. And then the dogs are the most challenging part. The dogs are harder than the liquor, and the liquor's supposed to be way tougher than those little dogs. But yeah, there you go. And that's overall. I I can't believe this game's a joke. It's kind of funny. You think the finalized product would be good, but it's just, it sucks. And then my final comment, which is a good little gamer comment, is that Paperboy, if you remember Paperboy's Grim Reaper, is more scary than this game. But go ahead. I'd rather play Silent Hill Shattered Memories, which is weird because of the flashlight aspect, and I just laugh because you were running away from creatures and you had no weapons, and yet it was better than this game.